Welcome back to the Grace Smith podcast. I'm your host, Grace Smith, and I'm so happy you're here. This podcast is your guide to unlocking the power of your subconscious mind to create positive change. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our Better Sleep series. We'll continue to follow along with the proven protocol from my best-selling book, Close Your Eyes, Sleep. This week, we are talking about how to reprogram your mind for restful sleep with practical tools like visualization and affirmation. If you've been following along, you'll start to see how each step builds on the last. So let's get started. So today we're really focused on when worries and anxieties start to creep up at bedtime. And this you can find beginning on page 124 in the book, which is chapter 6, and it's called Put Your Worries in a Box. So what I found over the years in helping people overcome insomnia is that at nighttime, when they're in bed, their brains want to help them. And their brains think that they are helping them by making sure that they don't forget absolutely anything that they have to do, or by bringing to the front of their consciousness all of the things that worry them the most. And this just starts to rev like an engine and get louder and louder and spin out of control, and can inhibit people from being able to fall asleep. So many, many years ago, I developed a protocol, which is basically put your worries in a box. What you do is you visualize first in your mind's eye, in the theta brainwave state, in hypnosis, that you are taking everything your brain is worried about. You are writing it down on a piece of paper. You are putting it in a shoebox. You are saying to the shoebox, I will open you tomorrow morning and I will remember everything that you have told me because it's written down. It's safe. And you put that shoebox outside of the bedroom to symbolize to your brain, this has no place in the space where I sleep. And then you visualize yourself getting back into bed and falling deeply asleep. Now, for the first couple days, potentially even weeks, if you'd like, you can couple this with actually doing that conscious exercise. You can get yourself an empty shoebox and some Post-it notes, and outside of your bedroom, you can write down every single worry, every single concern, physically put it in the box, put it away somewhere outside of the bedroom, and get in bed. But if you were just to do that conscious exercise and not pair it with subconsciously visualizing the exercise, it wouldn't be as powerful. And isn't that interesting? The reason being, it's the subconscious mind that's actually afraid. It's the subconscious mind that stores all of your anxieties and concerns. So we have to quell those fears where they exist in order for you to have the greatest amount of success. So many of my clients who are CEOs, and there are just so many things on their to-do list. There are so many divisions that need attention, so many new hires that need training, so many board members that require updates, and the to-do lists are just unbelievably overwhelming. Plus, they've got their kids, and one of them has a runny nose, and they're feeling guilty because they're missing the ballet class. And so I have seen folks where when we physically say, all right, let's just take the time to write it out. I mean, there could be 120 worries. That's not an exaggeration. So for most folks, when they're doing the exercise, they'll find that there are 8 to 12 things that really pop up a lot in the beginning. And then as time goes on, the list can diminish and get a little bit shorter. So exciting to see when that happens for the CEOs and founders, because it also shows they're getting clarity and they're not taking as much responsibility for absolutely everything that the company does, which, especially as a startup founder, you can do that in the beginning and it's required of you in the beginning. But as the company continues to grow and expand rapidly, you've trained yourself to care and worry about every single thing under the sun, but it is totally unrealistic that you can have your hands on all of those things. So watching that number go down from this super high amount of worries to a number that's actually pretty reasonable already decreases anxiety in and of itself, allows for better delegation, allows for more clarity, allows for more efficacy, just makes you a better leader. So as much as we want everybody to be able to get to sleep, stay asleep, and have a fantastic night of sleep, waking up feeling refreshed, there are secondary benefits to this process that just will help you gain clarity in your life about what's important. So it's really fun to watch the number of worries diminish over time with this practice. So here in this chapter, there are additional exercises to help you gain that clarity about what Tim Ferriss has called the one thing. Ferriss says this method of prioritizing the biggest challenges in your life could be the antidote to self-sabotaging habits like procrastinating or overscheduling your day. And that was a quote from Business Insider. So essentially, once you have a shorter list of things that you're worried about, a shorter list of to-dos after a few days of this process, it's recommended that you go through each item and ask yourself 2 questions about it. The first question being, if this were the only thing I accomplished today, would I be satisfied with my day? Yes or no? And the second question being, will moving this forward make all the other to-dos unimportant or easier to knock off later? Yes or no? And so once you've asked these 2 questions about each item, you can ultimately circle the one thing you are going to accomplish that will make everything else on the list easier. So what you're doing here is you are training your subconscious mind to not worry because you've got everything covered. You're going to remember everything. It's in a box, but the box is outside of the bedroom. You're visualizing great sleep, preparing your brain for great sleep. But at a conscious level, you are also doing something that's going to help your sleep for the long, long term, which is to get tremendous clarity about the one thing. Again, this is a Tim Ferriss process from way back in the day with the 4-hour work week, where if you're just focused on one big thing as soon as you wake up in the morning, that even when you go to open that shoebox and there might be a whole bunch of Post-it notes in there, then you're not flooded with anxiety first thing in the morning. You still get to go, okay, yeah, I've got reminders here for whatever else needs to happen later, or for things that need to be delegated, or things that taking a second look at it in the morning after a good night's rest, actually, I can toss this one. But there is that one thing that if I do it today, it's going to help all the others get completed, or it's going to move my life forward towards my ultimate goal the most. So that's what the chapter is all about. I want to share with you a couple of studies that help support why this type of work is so effective. So in a study by the Journal of Military Medicine, researchers found that guided visualization reduces stress and improves psychological well-being and sleep quality in military retirees. And this is by Amini et al. From 2022. So this randomized control trial researched the stress and sleep quality of military retirees. 60 men aged 60 to 70 were split into 2 equal groups, a control group and a treatment group. The treatment group received a total of 12 guided visualization sessions, and those were delivered 3 times per week. All participants had their stress, well-being, and sleep quality measured at the start and end of the study. And while the control group had no difference between any of their measures, the group that received guided visualization had statistically significant improvements in all 3 measures of stress, well-being, and sleep quality. These results show the effectiveness of guided visualization with an under-researched group like military retirees. So you can see why when I had folks in the beginning, when I first developed this process, when some of them said, oh, you know what, I was able to jot down a couple things, put them in a box, put them outside, but I, quote unquote, didn't have time for the hypnotherapy, and they're not seeing any actual change in their behaviors. This is why the visualization is key to change the brain's association with the worries, the to-dos, and what it thinks bedtime is for. It's gotten so prone to thinking that this is the time where I just unleash every single concern that I have all at once, as loud as possible. And we've got to recondition it to understand, nope, this is the time where we are winding down, we are getting quiet, we are getting peaceful. All right. In a 2024 edition of the Frontiers in Audiology and Otology journal, they shared that visualization reduces the time it takes to go to sleep for people with tinnitus. Tinnitus is a condition causing ringing or buzzing in the ears, and people with tinnitus can often have difficulty falling asleep. A 2024 study researched 12 adults with tinnitus who had disturbed sleep. The participants kept a nightly sleep diary for 4 weeks with different protocols before going to sleep. For 1 week, they performed a 30-minute visualization every night before bed. For another week, the visualization was combined with sound reinforcement and nature sounds playing all night. The time it took to go to sleep was reduced by 60 minutes with the visualization and 70 minutes with the visualization combined with sound. This study shows visualization can be an effective tool for improving sleep time in people with sleep disturbances. So there are 2 folks in our family who are musicians and both have tinnitus. So I was thrilled to see this study. But you can see for both of these, we're talking about military retirees and we're talking about folks with tinnitus. So these are people who are having a very difficult time going to sleep for fairly extreme circumstances. We don't know what the military folks have been through, what they've seen, if they also have PTSD. And tinnitus is a physical sound in the ear bothering someone that's making it difficult to go to sleep on top of the traditional worries and concerns that our brains can all have. So I just find this very encouraging because if these results are possible for folks in these 2 categories of having tinnitus and military retirees, think of what's possible for the rest of us who just have the regular old anxieties and worries. It could potentially be even more effective faster. So with hypnotherapy, it's not just visualization. During the induction, there is progressive muscle relaxation. There is specific training that every single person who graduates from my certification school in how to speak to the subconscious in the most effective way. Very, very, very specific language patterns that are the most effective that we've learned over time in thousands and thousands of studies. Then, of course, there is visualization, but it's the most effective visualization because we've been doing this for so long. So when you combine all of these elements with the right types of suggestions and just the training that a hypnotherapist receives when they go to school for this, as opposed to someone who just tells you to visualize relaxing, it can make all of these results even more powerful. And that's why we have heard so many times folks say, oh, I love the Calm app or I love Headspace, which are great, absolutely great. And if they've got recordings that are helping you, by all means, keep doing whatever's helping you. And yet then folks will test out our app and say, I don't know why, but I feel infinitely better. I don't know why, but my habits are changing so much faster. What is the difference here? And the difference is really in the training of the person who's creating the recording, and that we're using all of these elements, these evidence-based elements that help people get to sleep faster, but in a way that is even more effective because it's through the lens of hypnotherapy and not someone just saying, oh, imagine that you're sitting on a pretty beach. If we're having you imagine that you're on a pretty beach, we're doing it with language that is the most effective that will allow your subconscious to transform. On page 136 of Close Your Eyes Sleep, there are a number of hypno-affirmations for this week. So if you're doing self-hypnosis as opposed to listening to the recording on our app, and you can do either. The recording on our app is free. It's literally called Put Your Worries in a Box. You can find it under the Close Your Eyes Sleep category. But if you prefer to train yourself in self-hypnosis so you can do it anytime, any place, even without a recording, these are some of the hypno-affirmations I recommend for this chapter. The first one is, I put all to-dos in a box and I put the box away. When I close my eyes in bed, it's time to sleep, and that's it. I can think as much as I want tomorrow. Right now, it's time to sleep. I breathe deeply and everything melts away. I am carefree. I am relaxed. I sleep well. That's a pretty drastic transformation for most people, how they feel when they're attempting to get to bed at night. So getting to the place where you can put all those worries and to-dos in a box, put them away in another room, and actually feel carefree getting into bed, what a tremendous gift for you to give yourself. So here is the homework for you to complete this week in our series. Each night, please practice putting your worries in a box using primarily hypnosis, but secondarily, if you want to get yourself a shoebox and some Post-its, have some fun with this at the conscious level as well. By all means, you can do that as a bonus. Definitely listen to the hypnosis recording. Put your worries in a box on the Grace Hypnotherapy app. Again, that is unlocked. It is free. You are able to access it anytime. Your visualization practice that you are mastering this week lays the groundwork for the lasting sleep habits we'll build together in our next episode. This mental rehearsal primes your mind and body for the practical changes ahead. Thank you so much for listening to part 2. I'm so excited for you to experience this week's practice and take another step toward better sleep. Remember, if you know someone who could benefit from this series, please share it with them. It might be just the gift they need. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and let me know your thoughts. Next week, we'll talk about creating an incredibly powerful bedtime routine. Until then, take care and rest well.